Dear viewers, welcome to the 5th webinar of our webinar series Essay Contest Winners Forum, facilitated by the Goi Peace Foundation. My name is Patrick Petit. I'm a Goi Peace Foundation staff member based in Munich, Germany. I'm in charge of co-producing this webinar series, Essay Contest Winners Forum, and I have a great pleasure to moderate today's webinar. Today's webinar addresses the theme, Rising from Ashes, turning painful experiences into opportunities to serve community. In that respect, we have the great honor and privilege for having among us 3 distinguished previous first prize essay contest winners, who will be our panelists at this webinar, namely Luciana Grosu from Romania. Welcome, Luciana, to this webinar.
Hello, and nice to meet you all. I'm glad to be here with you.
Welcome on this platform today, dear Luciana. Then may I introduce you, Narayan Kulkarni from the United States of America, who is joining us at this webinar today.
Hello, Patrick, and hello, fellow panelists, and hello, viewers. It's a real honor to be here with you speaking today.
Welcome, Narayan, at this webinar. And then we have Neha Rawat from India, joining us from New Delhi. Welcome, Neha.
Hello, Patrick. Thank you. Hello, everyone, the viewers and the panelists. I'm so happy to be with you guys today.
Oh, it's a pleasure for all of us that you are joining us today at this webinar. It sometimes occurs in our lives that we face sad moments and make painful experiences. At these specific moments, we feel like devastated. And the pain is sometimes so strong and intense that we do not see the light at the end of the tunnel. However, these painful experiences in life often trigger and enable us to discover and engage new paths where we turn these painful experiences into opportunities for us and our communities. Our 3 panelists are sharing their experience in wisdom on that topic today. So I will start asking Narayan, what specific painful experience in that context would you like to share with us? Narayan, you have the floor.
Thank you, Patrick. And the specific experience resulted after 9/11 happened, and when I was in the 2nd grade. 9/11, the September 11, 2001 attacks involved terrorists from Al-Qaeda who coordinated a number of different attacks, but the biggest one was the World Trade Center attack, which killed around 3,000 individuals and injured around 6,000 others. I had just moved to a new school in Tampa, Florida, the city in which I currently live. And the specific painful experience involved was, before that, a lot of my friends were, who I thought were my friends, were getting acquainted to me, and everything was very smiley and very welcoming. But the day after that, I instantly saw people were frowning at me, and it was very confusing to me. We were playing kickball within that next week, and I was picked last. And I asked people, why'd you pick me last? I was picked first earlier, but they said, oh, you're a terrorist. We don't want to play with a terrorist, but we kind of have to, or else we're going to be told on. And then again, later on in the week, I happen to like to get food very soon. That just happens to be something that I do. And whenever I would get lunch, and this continued on for the rest of that year, when I was sitting there, people would deliberately avoid me, and I would not be sat with at all. And then I would ask some of my friends, or who I thought were my friends, why was this happening? What's the problem? They said, you're Bin Laden's son. We don't want to eat with you. We're suspicious of you. And so I was extremely confused and I was very dismayed. And then further on, I would try to tell people, well, I'm a Hindu. Like, this is not who I am. Like, I'm not a terrorist. They're like, we don't care. You're a terrorist. That's what you look like. And so it was very painful for me to have to be with a lot of such experiences, especially in elementary school and moving forward from there.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing, Narayan, these painful experiences. And what about you, Luciana? What is your painful experience you want to share with us today at this webinar?
Actually, my experience is quite similar to Narayan, but I don't even have the excuse of having been bullied for my ethnicity or nationality because I didn't have any such issue. I was simply not liked and marginalized. And when as a child, you first encounter malice and unkindness, you are surprised and shocked. At least I was. And I couldn't understand why are people acting like this because this is life. But at that point, I didn't accept that. And I don't accept it now. But because I refused to play the game, I was often being marginalized. And people told me this is life and you have to get used to it. But I've decided not to accept the message. I think it can be different if people act differently, and I think violence and pain are not supposed to be part of it. I mean, not verbal violence and not even emotional pain. So I think it's not a luxury to feel safe or to feel accepted, but people make it look as if it is a luxury to be yourself. It means something that you must. So this is why I also embraced my idealism and became even more radical because I don't believe in our differences and I don't believe in discrimination and I don't believe in the fact that it should be painful or that we should be unkind, but that this is life. So far, okay, thank you.
Thank you very much, Luciana, for sharing your painful story and experiences you had. And Neha, what painful experience and brought you down on your knees, so to speak?
My bad experience or the most painful one is the one that I mentioned in my essay. So it's about depression. After my school years, there was a phase when things did not go as I had expected. So everything was going wrong, and I was still a kid, not so mentally strong to deal with all that. So there was a phase in which I was very depressed. I just confined myself within my room. I didn't go out. I stopped interacting with people. So it was very painful because not because the things were bad, but because I could not deal with that. So it was very overwhelming for me.
Thank you. Thank you so much, dear Narayan, Luciana, and Neha, for sharing a moving experience with us and addressing to the viewers. So how painful, however, this experience have been for you, you have not given up on life, but stood tall and even gained strength out of these experiences. So I'm asking all of you three, how have you transformed this one specific painful experience you just have shared with all of us? How have you transformed it into an opportunity for you and for others in your community? And at the same time, you can also answer afterwards what lessons, or what lesson have you learned and taken with you from this experience? So, Narayan.
So this was the experience I described was extremely painful. This is also the experience I talked about in my essay, which I won the youth category in 2015. And one thing that I immediately realized was that life goes on and that it is more empowering to be courageous than to allow such situations to hold you down. That's partly inspired by my parents, who are both doctors, and they worked extremely hard to build a life for themselves, for me and my sister. And so I took upon their example to look for a career in which I could serve others, because I saw it inspiring that even though they were faced by a lot of difficulty, they were still able to do something. And that in part has inspired my choice in going into a career in the healthcare sector. I also looked for better inspiration in the greater community. And by that, I mean in the world community, examples of people like Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., who desegregated schools in the US, and also Mother Teresa, who did a lot of charity work, and also Mahatma Gandhi, who was a great independence fighter in India. And I sought to look at examples of qualities that they emulated, and I sought to embody those myself because I didn't see those embodied. So things like being wise, things like being tolerant of others' experiences, things like really striving to be open-minded and striving to learn. I also saw that when these things happened to me, it was shocking to me, and it really drove me to ask why these happened. And I sought to look for models that would explain to me reasons why. And so that led me to, for example, the concept of karma within Hinduism. That led me to, for example, the concept of yuan fun, which is discussed in like Chinese culture. That led me to a lot of such religious and cultural examples, and that invited an interest in learning about different religions and cultures and other historical events. I also realized that there is an importance of me growing internally, because at the end of the day, it's about me as myself becoming more empowered. And so that's me to look at examples of practices that would cultivate my internal self. So that led me to things like yoga, that led me to things like meditation, that led me to things like prayer as a Hindu, that led me to also exercise and trying to cultivate my physical fitness. And lastly, I realized that there is an importance of doing external work, because even if I myself can do the best that I can, there's still a greater world that needs leaders. There's still a greater world that needs empowerment. And even though someone like Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. or Mahatma Gandhi or one of these really great figures did a lot of internal work, that cannot occur in isolation for the world to become a better place. So I sought ways in which I could use my skills for a better aim. So that took the form of being in math league in middle school and competing in math. That took the form of doing like writing and trying to, in a classroom, share better insights that I didn't see my classmates talking about. For example, sharing my faith, for example, sharing new dimensions of understanding and thought. That took the form of, when I was in college, creating educational programs that shared experiences that I didn't hear. So for example, I created a leadership development conference for Asian Americans. I created a panel for 9/11, people who survived 9/11 and who were in marginalized communities affected by 9/11 to share their experiences. I created experiences where people who are LGBTQ plus to share their stories and to educate people with the resources that they could have. And so as such, I tried to leverage my experiences to create better understanding for myself and for greater communities that I could serve.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Narayan, for sharing this, very strong, experiences and the transformation, you gained, and the opportunity you have taken out of this painful experience in your city in Florida. And I'm asking now, Neha, how have you transformed this one specific painful experience you just shared before into your opportunity, for you and others in your community? Neha?
Yes, Patrick. My experience was and still remains an important milestone in my life, because before that I was mentally weak, especially emotionally. I was not so intelligent to deal with the situations of the real life, because as a kid we are also protected, so we're not ready for the real life situations. But because of that experience, I learned how to deal with things, and I learned how to help others in similar things. So the first thing that I did was I got out of that situation through activity. That means I started doing things. That's why I got out of it. If I had just remained inactive and did nothing, then I could not have gotten out of it. So I know that is very powerful. Just like Narayan said, I agree with him. I also turned to yoga and meditation and community work. I joined community work in my college and NGOs. I started teaching kids. And even during my master's, I was teaching kids despite my very busy schedule. And we used to conduct health awareness campaigns. So all the socializing and all the activities that I did for others has become an important part of my life since then. And it is very important because that experience made me very empathetic. That means that now I understand what people go through who are in my situation or in other similar situations. So I understand them better and I know how to help them. At least sometimes just being there, just being a listening ear may go a long way. So I think this experience will always remain with me and will guide me throughout my life. That's right.
Thank you so much, Neha. What a wonderful story you're just sharing with us, about, how this painful experience, really triggered strong transformation, and where you really have seen the new opportunities out of this painful experience, for you and for others to serve community. Thank you. And Luciana, I'm asking also you the same questions. The same question: how have you transformed this painful experience, and make it as an opportunity, or have you seen various opportunities out of this painful experience?
So, as I said, I've embraced my the fact that I am an idealist, and I decided to dedicate my life to helping others, especially those who are being silenced, who are victims. And this was and this is a big decision that I took very early in my life. I was very young, about 15, and it was a deliberate, conscious, and well-planned decision actually, but very hard to achieve because it came from the heart. It was and still is 100% sincere, but it's very hard to achieve, and this is because the the decision to save humanity did not make me less sensitive nor less vulnerable. It did not change me in this way. So I did manage to join many do good communities, and I did assume many roles, and I did learn a lot of things from very different professional fields. Uh, but I still remain somewhat marginal, and it was mostly due to the combination of having strong ethics on one hand, and feeble resilience on the other hand. And this does not recommend me because I am very stubborn and very vulnerable at the same time. And it doesn't always work in the professional work where you are expected to be flexible and strong. And I am just stubborn and idealist. So I ask myself every day, why haven't I been strong enough? And why am I not strong enough? And is it because I'm so much affected by my past, or is it because I don't want to be stronger in order to not commit even the tiniest power abuse? And the answer is actually both. I am affected by the things that happened to me early in life, but I'm also constrained by my refusal to ever consciously hurt or abuse power. And this are this is a constraint that I impose myself. So I'm a radical idealist and a permanent refugee. I'm always forced to run away in order to save my soul. But whenever I run away, I don't save the world. So am I the problem? I don't think so. But I still have a very long way to go before I can actually say that I will be able to solve world problems. And I must say that it's very hard to to live in a world where there are so many things going on, and to go to bed knowing there is still war, that people are still fighting, that there are people still dying of hunger and treatable diseases, and to know that this is your reality every day, and to know that you talk to people who are working to solve this, but somehow these things are not being solved, even if these things could be fully solved by now. So it's not only my pain, but it's also my pain related to the world, not just the things that happen directly to me, but also the things that happen now to other people. And I think it's important to talk about this because for me, it is a part of pain. The fact that I know that there is still a war going on, for example, in Syria. For me, this is I take it personally, you know, even if it may not be my personal problem, but in a way it is. And whenever I suffer because of what is going on in my life, I also suffer because of what is going on in the world. And it's important to say this. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Luciana, for sharing your story and an experience, you know, of transformation, how you took it as opportunity, you know, for your life and for serving others and community. And based on this transformational experience, what message of encouragement and empowerment would you like to convey to the viewers and to the world? Because you learned, you know, a lot out of this painful experience, and you know, you really gained strength, you know, and you got aware of your leadership, and that you make really a big difference in your community and in the world. So to all those people who are going through painful experience at the right moment, you know, all around the world, you know, what message of encouragement, of hope, of strength, based on your experience you just shared with all of us, would you like to convey to them? So Luciana, please.
Well, I've learned that even though you have a plan early in life, the chances are this plan might not work, and that's okay because this is where learning happens. I've also learned that I must be aware of my own limits, and it's important to know what you can do and what you can't do, and what you are good at and what you are not very good at. So that's very important. And also, I think that it's a real danger to embrace any kind of self-pity because it prevents you from doing good. And even though I am a psychologist and I study psychology, I would not encourage people to stay too much in therapy actually, because you can take the whole lifetime to heal only yourself, and then you are only going to be focused on yourself. So if you try to heal yourself, you spend all your years, all your energy on healing only yourself, and you will fail because obviously you are part of the system, and only when you help others you can also heal yourself. So being that much focused on your own personality, your own destiny, your own pain, it's not a good thing. Even though there are many therapies and many ways you can actually address the pain and, you know, empower yourself and make you one big person, it is important to remember the other people as well, and to remember that you are part of the whole, and the other people are very important. They are as important as you are. And I think we should establish priorities both for ourselves and the world. So there are many persons who live in abuse and suffering every single day. And somehow their pain is more important and more urgent because they are hungry, or they are being beaten, or they are sick, or they are dying. So we do feel mistreated when we suffer, but we very much take other people's pain for granted. And I think this is not okay. And if I could transmit one message, I would transmit this message, that we are all equal. And I know that we are overwhelmed by our own personal pain, but there are always people who are in a worse situation than us. And we many times we just don't do anything to reach those people and to help them. And it will be important to have some priorities for the world and for ourselves. And to start with the biggest issues and the most serious ones. And maybe at that point we will see that it's not that bad for us. If you know that you contribute to solving a big problem, then you will realize that your own small issues are not so important. But as long as we let, for example, refugees, as long as we let refugee children die because they don't have hunger, or because they are killed in conflict, how can you claim the right to be happy when other people are in such a situation? So it's both unfair and it's also somewhat illogical if you think about it.
for sharing your message to the viewers and to the world. And Neha, what is your message of empowerment and, you know, of encouragement to the viewers and to the world and to all those who are going through painful, you know, transformational moments nowadays?
Patrick, my messages, I would like to give two messages. First would be to be empathetic, because we all go through so many experiences, good and bad, both. And because of that, we turn into better people over time. And because of that, we have to be there for other people so that we can grow together. That can only be possible when we are all together. In this era, there's so much social media, but we have never been so much disconnected. We don't even look at each other's faces. We don't even know about friends and families. So it's very important to understand people, to show empathy, love to them. And that is very important because by 2050, I'm from India. India is going to be the topmost country with the suicide. So that is very unfortunate. And the reason is very simple. The solution is very simple. It's just love and kindness. We can do it just by that. And the second one is, I would like to say that no matter what you're going through, no matter how bad it is, no matter how bad it seems, because it's not so bad as it might seem at times, just don't give up. Sometimes you might have to crawl through the day. Just a single day would might seem so impossible to pass. But if you go through it a little by little, small actions, if you take every day, then you'll get through it and you will come out of it a stronger person. So that is very important. No matter what happens, don't give up. That's it, Patrick.
Thank you. So we won't give up at all. No, thank you very much for sharing so much. Thank you, Neha. And Narayan, what is your message of encouragement and empowerment to all the viewers and to the world?
Well, first of all, I want to thank Neha and Luciana for their great insight, because I think both of you brought up some really amazing points, and I want to add to some of what you mentioned. So first of all, one thing that I've noticed is that throughout our world, different individuals are at different levels of consciousness based on life experiences, based on where they are, based on aspirations, and based on so many different variables. However, there are some common objectives that I believe all humans or all life forms have. So the increasing of consciousness, the orientation towards abundance, the desire for and the manifestation of possibility. These are all things that all humans and all life forms share. And I think that it's important for all societies and all entities to orient themselves toward these aims. I also believe that all individuals face some type of challenging situation in their lifetime, but it requires some type of inner work as well as some type of outer work to manifest. Now, that's going to take different amounts of effort in different ways for different individuals and different entities based on experiences, but it will require some type of internal and external work. And it is extremely possible. All three of us as panelists have done this. I'm sure, Patrick, you've gone through similar situations. I'm sure each of our viewers who are watching this, there's something either extremely small or extremely big that you had some type of problem with. Maybe, for example, you tripped and fell, but then you got back up. Or maybe there was some extremely traumatic experience that you've got through, but there is some type of example in your life that you have overcome some type of challenge. And that, like, as a human being or as some type of entity, you are primed to go ahead and improve and grow. And so know that is in your history in some type of fashion. And it's also in the history of your species and of this world and of all living organisms in some fashion. So trust in that, and that there will be some type of growth and some type of positivity in the future. And lastly, I want to encourage our viewers that there should be some type of emphasis on developing mindfulness and awareness in one's life. And that should require theoretical study, whether, for example, that's in concepts like karma, whether that's in, for example, like reading about Christianity, whether that's, for example, in reading about systems thinking. There should be some type of theoretical study And that should be manifested through action, whether that's through service projects, whether that's through the work as a public health professional, whether that's through, for example, the work that Patrick and the Goi Peace Foundation is doing in order to put on webinars like these, or to create spaces and conditions for which individuals have the capability to grow in their consciousness and grow in their ability to serve. There should be theory and action both done. And whether you're, for example, like a 1-year-old child, whether, for example, you're an 80-year-old individual, and I say this because my grandfather, who's now deceased, he, even when he was extremely young, and even when he was in extremely impoverished conditions, he still worked hard. Even when he was like 80, even the day before he died, he still did prayer, he still read, he still went ahead and took efforts to put a smile on people's faces. Whatever your age is, whatever your life experience is, you have that opportunity to grow yourself, you have that opportunity to serve the world, and it is your obligation as an organism who has the gracious ability to manifest themselves in this world to do that. So I strongly implore you to find a way in which you can do that wherever you're at, because it will matter and it will make a difference, and you are amazing, and there is great possibility for this world to be better as a result of whatever you choose to do.
Wow. Thank you so much, Narayan, for your wise message and of encouragement, and in particular also empowerment. So thank you, all of three of you. Thank you, Narayan and Neha and Luciana, for sharing your great experiences and for inspiring us with your insights and your wisdom on today's topic. So thank you very much.
May I share something at the very end?
Yes.
And something that I realized. So for those of you who have not seen other webinars, please watch them, because each of them, of course, have like different experiences. I encourage you, go ahead and read the essays of myself and all of our fellow panelists. I also encourage you to remember that I know from my experience, but I'm sure that Neha and Luciana can agree with this. Like, we as panelists have gone through a situation that, like, there was a time when we perhaps did not know where life was taking us. There was perhaps a time where we felt uncomfortable, or there felt like there was challenge, but we made it. And at the same time, we have a lot to learn. So you are, if you're a listener and you happen to think that, or if it is your reality that I'm in a difficult situation, we were in a situation which we too perceived as difficult, but we were able to make it through. So whoever you are, wherever you are, there is hope, there is possibility. It will happen, but just do the theory and the action and trust, and amazing things will happen. Yeah.
I
Thank you.
also want to,
Please.
I also want to thank Narayan for bringing into the discussion the age aspect. It's true that we are not always going to be young, but we are always going to be responsible, even after the moment that we will no longer be young. So one can't be young forever, and we can never be happy all the time. But we are always responsible. Also, when we feel down or sad, we still have the responsibility towards humanity and towards our fellow human beings. So it is not possible to forget who we are and why we are here, and the fact that we are responsible throughout our whole life in both good and bad times, and that we have to defend our values and our humanity, that which makes us human, and we should not give up the things that we believe in, and the things that make us to be better persons. It's not worth giving up on those human rights principles for either success or fame or money. It's really not worth it. Even if you are no longer young, it's not worth it. So that's important, I think.
Thank you, Luciana, for sharing. So I think that whatever issue we're facing and difficult moments and times you're going through, in each of these challenges lies already, sometimes hidden, but lies the solution already within, or even many solution opportunities. So we only are invited to grab those opportunities and to make the best, out of them, and demonstrate our strengths and our leadership in life. And I think really that all the three of you are really great leaders, and based on your experience you have made and you have shared, you've really shown, your strengths and your leadership for yourself, but also within your community and the world. And I'm certain that you inspired many, many viewers who are watching this webinar. So thank you very much again for sharing your insights, your wisdom, and your experience on that topic today. So dear viewers, our next webinar will be in November. Details will be announced on the Goi Peace Foundation website and on the Facebook page of the Goi Peace Foundation. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you will join us again next time.